Hi, and welcome once again to I Put My Foot in It. You're tuned into the Thanksgiving series. I can't even speak today. But anyway, what we're going to do today is cornbread stuffing. I know that this is a favorite at Thanksgiving time, so I wanted to show you all how I made it. It's really simple. So many times people try to do things that are too fancy, but I think the palate understands simple flavors. And so it's a very simple recipe, but it is usually gone because people absolutely love it. So the first thing that we have is cornbread. You can just bake a cornbread and then you just want to crumble it in here. This will come right out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my hand. My hands are clean. And I'm just going to crumble this into my big giant bowl. Just a loaf of cornbread. You can buy this even. You don't have to make this. And you want to make sure that this is a bland cornbread. And we're just crumbling. And the reason is you don't want to do like a honey cornbread or a cornbread with lots of flavor, because you want to add the flavor to the stuffing. And you don't want, the cornbread to be, too much. So what we're doing is we're just crumbling our cornbread. That's our first ingredient, just till it gets to be a fine consistency like that. And now the next thing that we're going to add is just a sleeve of saltine crackers. Many times people try to get so fancy and they have to buy the Pepperidge Farm. That you really don't need that, honestly. Saltine crackers sometimes make the best bread crumbs, and they also have a salt factor. So they give you that added seasoning as well. So you just take an entire sleeve, and you see how I'm doing it? I'm just crumbling them in here. This is it. Making this video especially for Nicole Watson, who asked, how do you make that cornbread stuffing? It's one of her favorites. And so here I am making this stuffing for her. This actually will end up, because we're all out of town for Thanksgiving, this will actually end up at my mother-in-law's house for Thanksgiving. Alright, so we have our crumbled saltines and our cornbread mixed together. Really simple, right? You're like, oh, I can do that. And then you want to salt and pepper this to your own taste. And I actually like a lot of pepper in stuffing. I think a lot of black pepper, I think it gives it a lot of just added depth. But it's real clean, so we're just going to salt and pepper that. So we're just going to mix that salt and pepper in. And you can do that to your taste. And you can even add that at a later point, like if you want to taste it and, amp up the salt, amp up the pepper, whatever you want to do. Then what we did with an entire stick of butter, very important, because this is what's going to add a lot of flavor. We have sauteed celery and yellow onion. And I'll give you the exact amount. I added a little mushroom to this. And you can do that. You can add I've added red bell pepper in the past. I've added mushrooms. Onion and celery really is the base of this. And that is the main thing that you want to add to this recipe. But I added mushroom because I know my mother-in-law loves mushrooms, so we're putting that. I know Nicole does not like mushrooms, so I wouldn't do that in one that I was making for her. But you can put in, some fine dice of red bell pepper. But here's how I did this. I diced up a yellow onion very finely, and then I diced up about 4 ribs of celery. Here's the thing about celery. When you buy it, don't buy the celery hearts, people, please. And the reason I say that is because they've been harvested, they've been chopped, they've been sitting there in the store. What you want to look for in celery is celery that still has those leaves at the top. And you want dark green, crispy celery. So what you do is you take about 4 ribs of those, you cut off the white part of that, you slice down this way, lengthwise. I probably should have showed you this on camera. And then you cut this way for a dice so that you get little tiny chunks. And I cut the leaves even also. I think the leaves give it a lot of flavor. So I do the leaves and the whole rib of celery. And then I saute that with a whole stick of butter. And already this is smelling like dressing. But here's what makes it dressing, people. Fresh sage. So important. Something else that you can put in here as a seasoning is poultry seasoning. Poultry seasoning is quite tasty in this dish. But I took about 6 fresh sage leaves and I just chop them up. So I'm going to add fresh sage to this. That's what gives it that real Thanksgiving taste. Now if you use dried sage, you can use, I guess, a tablespoon, I guess, would do you in this amount. And sage is really what gives the dressing its flavor. Okay? See how we have our dressing looking? We're doing well here. Do a little bit of cleanup. To that, I'm going to add 6 cups of chicken stock. This is chicken stock that I have boiled, and I want it hot so that it will melt those saltine crackers. So we'll just go ahead and put the hot in. And that's just 2 cups that I boiled and made hot. And then we'll just go ahead and put, you know, room temperature, cold, it doesn't matter, the additional 4 cups in. And you say, boy, that's a lot of liquid. Here's the thing. You want your dressing to be very liquidy, because in the end you're going to put it into the oven and it's going to firm up and congeal in there. And the reason you want it liquidy, you might say, oh, that's a lot of liquid, is because when it congeals, you actually want the inside to be moist and the outside to be kind of crunchy. So that's the consistency that you want. Now you're saying, oh my goodness, that looks crazy. That's a lot of liquid. That's exactly what you want to see. You see how the consistency of that? This is the consistency that you want. And I know that's hard to believe for those people that aren't used to making stuffing, but I promise you, it's going to come out just right. Then you want to take 5 eggs and you want to beat them, which I have done. I did just a few seconds ago before I came on. And we'll add that to our mix here. And that's what's going to give the stuffing its consistency. At this point, what you can do really, if you wanted to taste it, you can get yourself a little bowl, even a little bowl like this. Put a little bit in it, put it in the microwave, let it kind of microwave bake, taste it, see if your seasoning is right, and add anything that you want to add, or leave it alone if it's good. And before you bake the whole thing, say you want to add something in. So everything is nice and mixed. So we're going to take our buttered casserole dish. You said more butter? It's Thanksgiving. That's going to be my phrase for this whole Thanksgiving series. It's Thanksgiving. So now we take our casserole dish here. Steady that. And then we're just going to pour. You said, oh, that looks so liquidy. I promise you, when this thing bakes, it's going to be just right. We're going to put this in the oven at 375 until it's done, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the finished product. We are back, and this has been in the oven. I should have timed how long. You know, you'll know when it's done. And as you can see around the edges, you have nice golden brown edges. You see it's nice and firm. I'm going to have to taste a little bit of this. Yes, this is going to my mother-in-law's house, but she's going to have to excuse me. I'm going to have to just dig in. And you'll see here how it firmed completely, but you'll notice how moist it is. That's what you want. It's nice and crispy on the outside and moist in the middle. Oh my goodness. So it smells heavenly. Oh my goodness. I can't even talk, it's so good. It came out so perfect. Nice and crunchy. I love crunchy stuffing, I don't know about you. Nice and crunchy on the outside, but still moist in the middle. Yummy. You must try this for Thanksgiving.